Good morning. Welcome back to the Namaste Experience. I'm here in Ashland, and I'm very excited to launch into this final week of 2025 with some beautiful insight that's going to help us enter into a new moment, a new year, the experience of 2026. At least that's what we call it. Now, is that really what it is? A new year, 2026, or is it a new moment, or is it the now moment? The only moment we need, the only moment we have to remember who we are, why we are here, and what our sacred role is as the extension of the love and the loveliness of God. So, that being said, we're going to start off with a very simple prayer, which I'll put up here on the screen and invite you to share with me. And this is going to take us into the week. Please join me. I am as God created me. If I remain as God created me, fear has no meaning, evil is not real, and misery and death do not exist. I am as God created me. That's all you need to know. That is the whole message right there. I am as God created me now and forever. So, that being said, knowing this, not just believing, you can hear all the dogs. No, this might be challenging. Knowing that I am as God created me, and this is the only thing I need to know, the only thing I need to remember and share. I want to begin. Here's Gracie for all of you at Namaste. Here's our wonderful Gracie, who was our dog there at Namaste for a long time until she came here to Portland. Get out of here. I want to share a parable with you that I wrote, I don't know, a few years ago. In fact, I remember when I wrote this, I was at the Shivananda Yoga Ashram in the Bahamas, and the experience that you're about to hear happened almost exactly as I wrote it. I was on a pier because they're right there on the beach, and I was on a pier where the boats would come in, and one of the swamis said, "Come out here, I want to show you something." So that being said, this is our parable, which is called Crumbs of Bread. The initiate watched the Swami standing on the pier, his gaze focused beneath the gentle waves. When the Swami saw the young man, he said, "Come here, I want you to see something. If you look close, you won't see a single fish, though there are many hiding beneath the rocks or in the deeper water. To gain their attention, I must throw a piece of bread into the water." The Swami took a large handful of bread and threw it a good distance from the pier. There was a great splash as the bread hit the water. Within seconds, a school of colorful fish, large and small, swarmed to the bread. But the piece was so big, none of them could get a single morsel of nourishment. You see, the Swami continued, the fish have come out of their hiding places because the vibration sent out from the large piece of bread I threw, though they were still unable to eat a single bite. So, what was the purpose of throwing the large piece of bread into the water? Is it only to gain their attention? The young initiate asked the master. Watch, and I'll show you, the Swami said. He then began breaking the bread into tiny pieces and sent them floating across the surface of the water. The two men watched as the fish spread out, each finding its own small morsel of bread to eat. If I did not begin with a large piece of bread, the Swami said, the fish would not feel the vibration in the water and would not come to eat. But they also would not be able to digest such a large piece. So once they come, I give them the tiny portions that they can digest with ease. The two men stood together on the pier for many minutes, breaking the bread into tiny crumbs so that the entire school of fish was well fed. I love that story. And I remember very well the experience where that actually happened, where the Swami there at the Shivananda Yoga Ashram took me out into the pier, threw that big handful of bread. All the fish came trying to eat, but none of them could until he broke up the small pieces. And there we stood together for a good time, each throwing little pieces and watching all the fish come, able to eat small morsels which they were able to digest. And isn't that the same thing that happens with us here every day? We need the vibration. We need that big splash sometimes to draw our attention away from what we think is happening or what we think is nourishing or feeding us. It draws our attention to something bigger, and yet something that we may not be able to understand intellectually, to digest until those small pieces come. And so I started off with the short prayer, I am as God created me. If I remain as God created me, fear has no meaning, evil is not real, and misery, sickness, and death do not exist. I am as God created me. That's the big splash. The vibration from that alone, when we hear the words, I am as God created me, excuse me, even if we're unable at this moment to truly, fully understand and receive that gift, the nourishment that that understanding can give to us. We then come to a place like Namaste Village, or we tune in to the broadcasts that we do here every day, and we begin to hear in a way that we can hear the small morsels that give us exactly what we need. So that being said, what I did was I went and wrote, well, I asked Sophia to give me a little bit more. I sent her the parable and asked her to give us a few of those small morsels. I thought this might be of value as we get ready to close a year on the calendar that we choose to follow, close the year of 2025, and begin entering into a whole new year where we can receive this wisdom even more deeply. So these are the lessons, the little pieces of bread that Sophia is going to give to us. She's going to break it up into 5 different sections. She says, first, do not mistake the splash for the meal. I like that. Much of this year may have arrived with noise, urgency, or grand ideas meant to wake you up. Their purpose was not fulfillment, but attention. Let them go now. Keep only what truly has fed you. Maybe you're able to look back at all the lessons that you've received, all the little pieces of bread that have been thrown into the water near you, and ask and answer that question. What has truly fed you? Maybe it's something that you heard from me or Vicky or Penny Honey or anyone at some point during this year that truly transformed you, grabbed your attention in a way that has never been grabbed before, and it echoes inside you like an a sacred, holy echo chamber, reminding you that you are truly as God created you. So hold on to that, whatever that might be. Remember that. That is the gift of what we call 2025. And as we enter into 2026, bring that wisdom with you so that it can be built upon, so that it can grow. So that's the first insight that Sophia gives us. Here's the second: trust what comes in small portions. What transforms a life is rarely overwhelming. It is the gentle insight. It is the quiet forgiveness, the ordinary act of love repeated daily. These are the pieces that you can actually live. I like the word ordinary. Look for the truth, the gift, the lesson in the ordinary. So often our attention goes out looking for extraordinary wisdom, examples, but it's really within the ordinary moments that we receive that which forever and wholly receives us. So look for it in the ordinary. Here's number 3. Spread yourself out, but not thin. I like that. Spread yourself out in 2026, but not thin. You do not need to chase every current or gather every lesson at once. Let each moment offer you its own crumb. Receive it fully, every crumb that is given to you, and then move on without hoarding. That's a good one. You don't need to try and grab every crumb that comes near you. It only takes one. It only takes one morsel of true wisdom. For example, the meditation that we started with, I am as God created me. That's a crumb. And that one crumb, if fully received, takes you home. All you need to do is to open up so wide that that tiny crumb enters the chamber of your heart in a way that nothing else ever has. And then you will know that it's true. It really is true. Not just intellectually, you know that you are truly as you were created in pure innocence. And nothing can ever change that. Maybe that's the morsel you receive today. Let it build within you. That's all you're going to need. Okay, here's number 4. Nourishment is shared, not seized. Nourishment is shared, but it's not seized. You don't need to go get it. The gift comes in the sharing of it. What sustains you this year was never meant for you alone. The crumbs you pass along, kindness, listening, patience, feed you more than you can see. So once again, nourishment is shared, not seized. How often have you heard any of us say that this holy joining that we share here every morning or 5 days a week, 6 days if you come to the unity service, all of these sacred moments are opportunities to share or to give it away or to be the source. And in giving that which we have received, it deepens within us. It takes root within us. So nourishment needs to be shared, and that's why we join. Sometimes people come to Namaste Village and they say, well, do I really have to come to the morning session? And the answer is yes. This is who we are. We have to share this. If I think I can just stay in my room and not interact or join with the others at our community, then it's not going to be fully received by me. I need to give that which I want most in my life. Okay, here's the final, number 5. Begin the next year humbly, in humility. No great throw is required now. The fish are already near. Simply keep breaking the bread, moment by moment, trusting that what is small, sincere, and given in love is more than enough for 2026. I love that. Begin the year in humility, humbly. And you don't have to worry about some huge piece coming your way. The fish are already near. All we need to do is to keep offering those morsels. And I like even here where it says, simply keep breaking bread, which which brings us back to one of the more important and enduring moments in all the Gospels when Jesus broke bread with his disciples and he said, "This is my body." He took the cup and said, "This is my blood." In other words, I'm sharing the essence of myself with you through the symbol of bread being broken and given. Jesus didn't just throw out a huge loaf of bread to one of the apostles and say, "Here, eat this." No, he broke it up into small pieces so that each one could take what they needed, what they could receive. And then he said, "Now go do the same. And whenever you do this, remember me. Remember the Christ that has given you this gift, the Christ that reminds you that you are the same. You are beloved." And as we begin, or as we close 2025 and begin a new year, 2026, we receive and we offer those little morsels, those little pieces of bread broken and given, that we all might be spiritually nourished and open to the love that is forever our own. So, with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Vicky, and let you take it from there and offer your own little morsel of bread to everyone.
Morning, Brother James. Good morning, everybody. And it is still the Christmas season. So the little morsel of Christmas that we carry in our hearts every day is that awakening to love in those little pieces more and more in small, small ways. But as you were speaking, Jimmy, what occurred to me is the morsel that hit me this year, and it came from you, is the word dissolve. Dissolve became an experience because I let it come into all kinds of little experiences, and I still do. But it was a game changer, and it's not a word that I would use. So it was important because, for me, because it put me on alert all the time. Oh, what does it mean to dissolve? What does it mean? I used other words like let and trust and all that. But dissolve brought me to, and still does, to an experience of surrender and humility, of getting out of the way and opening to being very simple in the moment, very present. And I love the idea of 26 being a year of simplicity, the ordinariness of holiness, the ordinariness of loving each other in the little moments when we hear, speak to one another in kindness with whoever is in front of us, person or pet or tree, with that little kindness. When we share that, we dissolve and the love kind of, I guess, expands. So the dissolving has been a highlight for me this year. And I don't know how it will continue to unfold, but it has certainly brought a trail of happiness with it and of openness with it and of wonder. I would say real wonder, because if everything I know I let dissolve, oh, I know I should live this way or that way, but let that fall away And then I'm left with a present wonder. Oh, how will it unfold? How will it expand? How will I be called in today to be and give and love and share? So it's in the tiny morsels that it takes root in me, and I think probably all of us. And yesterday, the priest, I was at Mass, and it was the celebration of the Holy Family. And I loved the simplicity of his message. What he said, what makes a family holy? Not just Jesus and Mary and the Christ family, is that we turn to God, we turn to Christ, and then we trust. He said the only thing that makes us holy is that we're willing to trust. That's a little morsel. Just trust that as you turn to spirit, however you name it, and you let it go, or I dissolve, that spirit will reinterpret and give back in a way that is a nurturing, not just for us individually, but for our families. It's what binds us together here in this room. We trust that Spirit leads us and has guided us as sisters and brothers. And it makes it fun. It makes it a joy to meet every morning, just trusting that each little morsel, whatever it might be, trust or gratitude, dissolving, it's what transforms us deeply. And we only have to be simply present in the ordinary with it. So thank you, Brother James. Thank you, all you guys.
Mm,
Love you all.
thank you, Vicky. I love hearing about the little morsels. Maybe Penny Honey has one that she can share. And I love that for you it was dissolve. For me, it was annihilate. That's why that book, The Annihilated Self, became so important to my own journey. That was the morsel that I needed. It's okay to be annihilated by love. It's okay to dissolve into that ocean of grace. I always remember that little salt man analogy. A man made of salt with the waves washing up against, and every time a wave comes, it dissolves a little bit more of the identity. And that's what we're doing here. Certainly what I'm doing, letting go of the identity that I once claimed so that I can be truly with the love that forever claims me. So with that, I'll give it over to Penny Honey and she can take us home. Good morning, dear one, and good morning to everyone at Namaste Village.
Good morning. Good morning. It's good to see you, James, and it's a blessing to see you, Vicky. We love sharing our mornings, don't we? So my little breadcrumb, my little morsel this year has to be the word expand. And when I think of dissolve, I consider the fact that when we see something dissolve into, let's say, warm water, it actually expands and becomes part of that agent of water. So for me, that's what it would have to be. I mean, come on. I moved my life from Arizona, like most everyone here has moved from somewhere, right? Kind of rearranged a few things. Had my first Christmas with my Namaste family. Was blessed beyond what I could have envisioned. And I picked up a lot of little breadcrumbs since I've been here since July. It's funny because I use breadcrumbs as an analogy of what leads us back to our remembering. I notice that the breadcrumbs in my life are clues that I've left for myself from a point of wisdom or from a lesson that I have received. And when I start to come back to myself, to who God created me as, I am as God created me, I follow those breadcrumbs of wisdom. I have all kinds of flavors and sizes of breadcrumbs. I've been blessed by so many amazing bakers in my life. And I notice that in that remembering, as I follow the breadcrumbs. Sometimes the breadcrumb comes from that big chunk of bread, that big splash, and it can feel overwhelming. And I look to the breadcrumbs that I've already gathered, and I start to find a way to receive more, to be present to the infinite expression that's available. I also see those breadcrumbs, and I offer this up as a thought, as pieces of your life. We've picked up a lot of breadcrumbs, some of us more than others. Well, some of us have had more time to do that, I guess. But it is every tiny morsel that you have accumulated that starts to be the momentum and the food that moves you toward the greater expression. It's all the tiny little morsels, even the ones that didn't taste so good. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has had those. Each moment, every crumb. And we don't need to hold on to them. We tap the wisdom. We allow it to feed our soul, and we send it out into the world. My grandma used to say, you knew that was coming at some point, right? My grandma used to say, to do great things and never have the need to know that I have done them is true success. These are the breadcrumbs that people leave for us, that we leave for ourselves. These are the bits of wisdom that expand us and then give us the courage to dissolve into the one that we've always been. I love that idea of trusting those small portions, because sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, can it? All this wisdom, or how about all this love? Sometimes that's overwhelming, to think that I am as God created me. And to see that in you, it's big. That's a big old chunk of bread. And there are millions of tiny morsels to be gathered from that. I really like this idea of passing along those crumbs. And I see that big splash as the opportunity for our hearts to open. I say, let him eat bread. Thank you.
Let them eat bread and cake, maybe. Maybe that'll be something we can digest this year, the celebration that we are one, that we have arrived. That's when the cake comes. So be ready for it. So why don't we close as we began with that little breadcrumb that sometimes feels and seems like it's a huge piece that creates a big splash, and we feel the splash within us, but we realize it's simple. It's simply the truth. And we'll close with sharing this together one final time. So I'll put it up here on the screen and invite you to join with me one final time today. Here we go. I am as God created me. If I remain as God created me, fear has no meaning, evil is not real, and misery and death do not exist. I am as God created me. And to this we say, Amen, 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 y punto, period. We love you all. See you again tomorrow morning. Namaste.